And welcome to Birmingham, Alabama. We are here for the final basketball game of the 2022 to 2023 season. As always, here all season we've been here. That's Austin Lindsay, that's Jackson Howell, and I'm Dima Mixon here, recapping an 88-60 loss to the UAB Blazers right on this court. I think one thing, just if you talk about the game, the glaring stat, 24 Southern Miss turnovers, 30 UAB points off those turnovers. UAB also had 50 points in the paint. And in a game where, you know, you're coming into this game hearing all about Jelly Walker, all this stuff about that point guard, he finished the game with 16, but it was really KJ Buffin who just destroyed the Southern Miss. 26 points, 12 total rebounds, so he had a double-double. Really just outmatched, outsized, outcoached, out everything tonight. But Austin, I don't think this, regardless of what happens tonight, to even get to this point in the NIT tournament seemed like literally a dream coming into the season.
Yes, Jay Ladner even said it. He did not believe that, you know, this team would even make it this far. And, you know, from a outsider looking in, even from the fan standpoint, no one guessed or even believed that Southern Miss would even be competing for an NIT tournament championship if you said that at the beginning of the season. So this has been one huge turnaround, 18 wins, amazing season. It doesn't take away from what happened tonight or what has happened in the last few weeks or the last few months. So, I mean, once again, phenomenal season, first outright regular season title since 1991, and first time in the NIT tournament since the 2013-2014 season. So you can't ask for anything better than that, especially after, you know, just 7 wins last season. I think, you know, sometimes you have to just take your wins and losses, and this is one where, you know, Southern Miss just kind of just flatlined at the end of the year, but they definitely had a phenomenal season. It doesn't take away from what they did in the regular season.
Yeah, Jay Ladner, you know, you can look back to that UL game, Jackson, the whiteout, sellout. I would say the peak of Southern Miss basketball this season. After that game, it seemed like it took a lot for Southern Miss to get their footing back. They were never able to really be back to that state. But Jay Ladner said it wasn't necessarily that they just fell off. They just got beat. Tonight they got beat.
Yeah, excuse me, absolutely. Like, you can say whatever you want about playing one game over 17 games or however long, or one game over 17 days with the long absences in play, but UAB was clearly the better team here. Southern Miss was the better story. Going from where they were as a program to right now, you can't take anything away from them. Ask any Southern Miss fan, ask any basketball fan in general if they thought they would go from potentially worst to first. Just an absolutely remarkable turnaround nonetheless. Not the ending that they wanted, but granted, everyone's going to be disappointed except for one team who eventually wins it all. So a great turnaround, but you just got to give credit to UAB on this one. Sure, Southern Miss, people are saying that the Louisiana game was kind of their Super Bowl. I'm not going to say that, but you could definitely tell that teams started to kind of figure them out down the stretch. South Alabama, a big part of that, 2 losses right there. But you just got to tip your cap to UAB. They were clearly the better team, but that doesn't take anything away from the terrific season that Southern Miss had this year.
Yeah, you know, we coming into this game, it was kind of just weird, Austin, you know, and Jackson, like, they selected this game Sunday night. The team's got to get in a bus and come here yesterday morning, you know. It was like a confusion of whether or not the game was Wednesday or Tuesday or Wednesday. It was confusing. My tweets were messed up, as all of you kind folks reminded me, or showed me. It just was a weird turnaround, and when you have to prepare for something like this, coming on the road to the second-seeded team in the Conference USA, who we were listening to the play-by-play announcer for UAB this morning, and he was saying that this is the best Conference USA has been since Memphis was in it, which was when Memphis was competing for national titles. You know, Austin, to come into this environment, to bring your team, you don't have Neftali Alvarez. We came out here pregame, he wasn't warming up with the team. That's already a huge loss. It just seemed like a really, really big task tonight for Southern Miss to win it, and of course they didn't, but you know, you think your regular season champions for the Sun Belt, which is arguably a better conference than Conference USA, you're 15-0 at home, you have you're 26-7, and you have to come on the road to play in the NIT. I mean, that just seems kind of like a terrible. You think about the draw that Southern Miss got in the postseason with South Alabama in the quarterfinal, and then coming on the road to play a team like this in UAB. Granted, you have to beat those teams to get to the postseason, but you would like to have, a UNC Charlotte or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
Random team that like you can at least have a footing and play in the postseason and win.
Yeah, and just to add to that, a lot of people, coming into this NIT tournament thought that UAB would end up, as a tournament team,
Lost in the final.
Yes, lost them in the final to FAU in a blowout loss, but they played FAU well in the regular season. They beat them and then lost by just 2 points in the first matchup. It was 88-86. They lost by 2, and then with the next matchup they would beat them, and then FAU would have their number in the CUSA championship. But a lot of people, like I said, thought that this would be a tournament team, and they looked like it tonight. They were well-rounded. They played from the inside out tonight, and the star player in Jordan Jelly Walker, he was contained pretty well. He would end up with like 16 points, but as you stated, KJ Buffin would have a phenomenal night. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dima, but it was 25 points? 26 points, where he would just dominate inside and just 12 rebounds. And you stated it before, 50 points in the paint. Man, they were really rolling tonight, and it was nothing Southern Miss had to answer it, especially late there in the second half. Austin Crowley would bring it to within 3 after they were down just 11 in that first half to bring it to 41-38, and then you thought Southern Miss had some of the momentum there. Yeah. But then it transpired over with about 10 minutes left in that second half. You kind of knew that the game was headed UAB's way. They completely had the energy here. The fans were into it. So, I mean, it's a terrible loss for Southern Miss, but like I said, you can't take anything away from them. UAB was a great team. They were the better team tonight, and it completely showed from start to finish. And Southern Miss was just playing catch-up. You had one of your best guys in Neftali Alvarez out, and who's started, is an offensive guy, spark plug guy for you. You didn't have that. But you had a guy that stepped in tonight, Nico Aguirre. I'm messing this totally up, but Nico. He played phenomenal, 13 points in about 15 minutes or so, and he would step up in the huge role, but even his efforts weren't enough for Southern Miss tonight.
Yeah, man, I think that summed it up very well. Jackson, you talk about Felipe Haase, man. I mean, I was saying on my Twitter, like, man, he may deserve a statue. I mean, he's almost the staple, him and DeAndre Pinkney, of just one of the greatest turnarounds in college basketball history. We're not just talking about Southern Miss history. We're talking about college basketball history. I mean, they were, one game short of the record, right? So if they would have won tonight, I think, or maybe they'd win 2 more.
They would tie it.
Yeah. But still, just right up there with one of the greatest turnarounds in program history. And he said, man, I never thought I'd live in Mississippi, but it has changed my life, and I feel like he's changed the lives of a lot of Southern Miss fans. Felipe, Jay Ladner even said that he was the catalyst to turning this program around.
Yeah, I don't know how many true one-and-dones there have been in Southern Miss history that have really been effective, but throughout the pantheon of all of them, Felipe Haase has to be at the top of that list. Just what he meant to this program. I mean, this is a guy in his first year. Really was the heart and soul of this team, was announced last. He was the glue, really, and he was able to keep everybody together. He had relationships with everybody, and we knew that Felipe Haase was close with assistant coach Juan Cardona, but I don't think any of us truly knew how close Felipe and Coach Jay Ladner were, and they talked about that a lot post-game, which you'll see on here as well, but just a tremendous basketball player, and according to the team and coaches, an even better person. And that's going to be somebody that's going to be hard to replace. They said they only need a 4 and a 5 going into next year, and talking about replacing players who are leaving. But you just can't replace a guy like that, and he truly meant the world to this team and this program.
Yeah, I think that's a great way of putting it. I think all these players, I think the season will just go down as one of it's the most memorable season that I can remember, just being here at Southern Miss, obviously. And I mean, nobody expected them to get to this point. I mean, we could be standing here right now on a 14-20 team or something, and that's not what we're doing. We're sitting here on a 26-17 undefeated at home, 25-7, and undefeated at home, regular season Sun Belt champions. Regular automatic qualifier to the NIT, An incredible season. I don't think there's anything. I mean, obviously they didn't want to end this way. They wanted to get to the NCAA tournament. They wanted to win tonight. They wanted to get to the next round of this. But I mean, it's it's just an incredible season, and I think that's what they're kind of realizing, that like, yeah, we changed the program.
Yes, like you said, they changed the program for a guy like you stated, like you guys stated, for DeAndre Pickney. Yeah. A guy that's been here 3 years. He talked about, in the Louisiana game, after the post-game presser, that, he waited all his, his whole time here at Southern Miss, his whole tenure here, to just see a packed-out crowd. And, to see that, the 8,000 sold out in Louisiana, and just to see the crowds that showed up, especially to the Reed Green Coliseum, to go 15-0 there, something that hasn't been done that often. It's truly special to see. They did definitely change the program. You're going to bring in, look into the future. You're going to bring in some guys that really want to come here and play and really want to be a Southern Miss Golden Eagle. And you're going to see a huge turnover. You're going to see that turnover of talent now. And, Jay Ladner and his program and his coaching staff have definitely put Mississippi not Mississippi, but Southern Miss on the map at Mississippi and Mississippi basketball, that, hey, we are something to tune into, not something to, just hear about or just anything like that. We're a team that is you need to tune into, and you'll see that in the upcoming future. And hopefully they can keep this tide going into next season. Like you stated, they just only need a 4 and a 5, a stretch 4 and a lockdown big down low, a rim protector down low, to definitely change this program around. You have the guard play. You just need to add to it and just fine-tune things, especially like tonight. Lots of turnovers, 24 turnovers, the second most this season behind UNLV out there in Las Vegas when they traveled out there, 25 turnovers there. But like I said, you have to be proud of this. You're looking forward in the future. You definitely, change the program around, and you have to build on this and bring in new recruits, bring in, guys from the transfer portal, bring in those fundamental guys that can, keep this program alive, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, I think that sums it up really well. At the end of the season, just want to thank y'all for following along with our coverage. We appreciate it. Just want to say thank you to these gentlemen right here. This is probably y'all's last time covering a Southern Miss game. So at least the students, Southern Miss basketball.
Yeah, don't
at least the
don't
students.
Make me cry, Dima.
Yeah. So I just want to thank both of y'all for everything that y'all have meant to me over the past, couple months. We got here to UAB. So anyway, so this is how Southern Miss's season ends. UAB 88. Southern Miss 60, and that's going to end Southern Miss's season, and that's going to end our coverage for Southern Miss basketball this season. We'll have more with this. You'll see on this YouTube page, if you're watching this, Jay Ladner and Felipe Hase's post-game press conference. You can find that on our YouTube. You can look for the game story at Southern Miss Student Media, sm2media.com/sports. You'll be able to find it there. Also follow us all on Twitter. He's Austin Lindsay. He's Jackson Howell, and I'm Dima Mixon. That's it for Southern Miss basketball. UAB 88, Southern Miss 60. Thank you all so much for watching and following all of our coverage this season for basketball. We'll see you next time.